Hey everyone, it's Brandy and welcome back to my channel, Brandy Janae's Bookshelf. Today I'm here to do my February deck of TBR. There is always a bunch of stuff going on in February, and of course I did not get to everything that I was hoping to back in January. So this is going to be a mix of the deck of TBR as well as me mentioning maybe a few readathons that I am going to try to participate in, even if it's only a little bit, and then maybe a few other books that I would like to get to as well, but we'll see what ends up happening. Moving on to the January recap. So by the end of the month I ended up with 13 books or bookish prompts on my TBR. First prompt was to read a backlist title, and I'm pretty sure that this was one of my TBR jar picks, but I decided to skip that for this round and to just go ahead and go with Nevernight because it was like leftover from a previous TBR since I had this out from the library. I did not get around to this, so this will be an additional pull for February. Prompt number 2 was Has Been or Will Be Adapted, and for that one I chose Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. I didn't get to this one. Prompt number 3 was to read a book that had 5 or more words in the title, and for that one I chose The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina, I think is how you say that. I'm pretty sure I figured it out, by Doretta Cordova. Another one that I haven't touched. So far we're adding 3 pulls to the 6 that I start off with. So moving on, prompt number 4 was to read an ebook, and for that one I chose Sin and Chocolate by K.F. Breen, which I was reading as part of a read along with a Facebook group I'm a part of. I did read that. Prompt number 5 was to read a manga. I think this is another TBR jar pick, and I picked out Vampire Dormitory. I almost decided not to read it, but I did go ahead and read this, and I read all 3 volumes, so I'm marking it as fully done. Prompt number 6 was to read a book from your favorite author. The one that I ended up going with was House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, and I did read this one, which was technically a reread. Prompt number 7 was to read a book between 350 and 500 pages. The one that I was initially going to go with was Gunmetal Magic by Alona Andrews. I said just any one of the books, but after flipping through my physical copies I realized that most of them weren't 350 pages, and I thought this one was because I checked and it said 400. What I didn't realize was that the end of this actually has a novella, and the novella is like 100 pages. So this one was 326 pages, so not quite what I was needing to do. So I was going to count it anyway because I didn't realize that when I decided to pick this, but I decided to give myself a backup just in case because I knew it was already on my TBR. I didn't mention it in the video, but I did put it on there. And the backup was Sinlin the Sins by Josiah Bancroft. And I did read this one. I actually did read both of these, which I will be discussing in my wrap up, which should be going up later this week. But I am marking that prompt as being completed since I did read both of these. Prompt number 8 was to read something that was young adult, and originally I think I said just any one of the mangas from Manga Spice Cafe that fit, but honestly I was not feeling any of those because I think most of them were like spooky reads, and then the other ones I just wasn't really in the mood for that. So I did go ahead and pick a different manga. I didn't have to pick a manga, it could have been any young adult, but I was in the mood and I decided to start a reread of Skip Beat. I know that this isn't really fitting what I was going for since it was a reread, but I think at this point it has just evolved into whatever fits the prompt and I feel like reading, that's what I'm going to go with. So I read 3 volumes of Skip Beat, so although I didn't read the new one, I feel like that's more than enough to cover finishing that prompt. Prompt number 9 was to read an author of color. This is one that I hadn't made a final decision on at the time of like filming the video. I don't even know if I had decided when I had edited the video. And then I was just like, oh, okay, this one is on one of my list of books I would like to read, and I already have a copy because I had bought it last year, so I'm gonna add it. And I had selected Janine, His True Alpha. I was about to go start it, but I was about to start it like when I was on my way to sleep, and then when I got up I decided to start something else because I had some bigger books on my TBR, and I was just like, I can fit that in towards the end. I never did actually start this one, so hopefully I can fit that in. I'm gonna try to fit that into Deck of TBR this month. I'm just gonna say that I didn't complete that, so that's adding another punishment on. Prompt number 10 was to read a sequel, and I guess I forgot to bring this copy over, but the one I chose was Magic Rises because I think that was the next book in the Kate Daniels series I was on. I did read that one, so that's done. Prompt number 11 was a newly acquired book, and although this is technically a reread and one that I did already own a copy of, I decided to go with City of Bones by Cassandra Clare because I had bought this box set. I did read this one, so that one is done. Prompt number 12 was to read a book that was 500 or more pages, and I don't know why, but I decided that I was gonna go with The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I did not start this. I got the audiobook. I had even took a day off so that I can get started and try to get halfway through this, but I made the decision with my extra day to try to get through some of the smaller things to get ahead in my reading since I had so much. I think what I'm gonna do is just buy myself a physical copy of this. The main reason why I didn't just go ahead and get a copy is because I wanted to make sure that I enjoyed it, but I think after finishing The Final Empire, I enjoy the way that Brandon Sanderson writes, so I'm pretty sure that I will enjoy this. So I think I'm gonna get myself a finished hardcover of this book for my shelves, and so that I can just read it on my own time and not have to worry about returning the library copy. So I didn't finish that for January or get halfway through, which was my real goal for January, since this is 1,000 pages. So that is another punishment for this month. And then finally, prompt number 11 was another newly acquired, and I think I had just chose this one since I ended up picking City of Bones previously, and the one that I went with was City of Ashes. Like I said, I got the box set. I did also read this one. I just checked out the audiobooks from the library, so I got this done. So out of the 13 prompts that I ended up with as far as books for January, I only didn't read 5 of them. Starting off Deck of TBR for February, I have 11 pulls. Because it is Black History Month, I am trying to have the majority, if not all, of the books that I end up choosing. I don't think I'm going to be able to do all, but the majority of the books that I read are from Black authors. That is like my top goal for the month. But there is also some readathons that I'm planning on participating in, one in particular where I don't know for sure if I'll be able to do that, so we'll see. Plus I also have my 12 must reads of 2022, which I have my jar here. I talked about in a separate video, so I have that as well, and depending on how things go, I might randomize it or I might pick one. I'm not quite sure yet because I don't know what's going to happen with Deck of TBR. So I've been talking for over 20 minutes now doing this intro and recap, so let me go ahead and get my notebook so that we can start on the first pull for February. First pull is that 6 of Hearts. All right, so the prompt for 6 of Hearts is to read a book with a snake on the cover, and I think this might actually help cover me for my 12 must read. The one that I am going to be trying to read is Beasts of Prey by Ayana Gray. I'm going to try again this year, and this is perfect, like I said, because it is one of my 12 must reads of the year. So if I can get through this, that would be great. So moving on to pull number 2, we have a face card, which is Queen of Clubs. So for this, I'm wondering if I should do things a little differently, because after I updated everything with these TBR jars or tins or whatever, I realized the spreadsheet that I'm using this year actually tracks all of my books that I got before 2022, and then I am constantly updating because there's also a spreadsheet for books you bought / received in the year that you're doing it. So I have been adding everything to that. So I'm thinking that most likely I will just like randomize it from there, because that'll be the most updated thing. As of right now, at the time of filming this video, I have acquired 24 books in January. Okay, so I just went ahead and randomized it 3 times and I ended up with 4. And 4 on my list is Clockwork Princess, which is the last book in a series that I haven't started and I cannot start yet, because I still have another book in a previous series to read before I start that one. So I'm gonna randomize it again and see if I get something better. I landed on 21. 21 on my list was The Love Con by Ceresia Glass. Pool number 3 is 4 of Diamonds. Okay, so this is actually kind of working out really good so far. So 4 of Diamonds is to read a book that was gifted to me. I actually have another romance by a Black author that I've been meaning to read for months now, and having it on the actual Deck of TBR I think is the perfect time to get to it, and that one is Forbidden Promises by Cynthia Williams. All right, moving on to pool number 4, that is 7 of Clubs. The prompt for 7 of Clubs is to read a retelling of Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney. This is an Alice in Wonderland retelling. I don't want to say I despised it, but I strongly disliked Alice in Wonderland when I finally read it for the first time. So I've been putting this off because of that, but I've heard really good things about this. So for pool number 5, we have 4 of Hearts. Prompt for 4 of Hearts is actually one word title. I'm gonna have you guys choose which one I read because I really don't know which direction I want to go in. One is a YA fantasy that's actually a sequel, which I think the one I'm the most excited for. The other one I've been more so avoiding because I don't want to have my heart broken, and I know the only other book that I read from this author I was literally sobbing, and I don't want to do that again, but I can't put it off forever because I am so excited about the book. The one that I'm scared for, more so emotionally scared, is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. And then the second option, which is the sequel, is Redemptor by Jordan and Fuego. Let me know which one of these you guys think I should read. Pool number 6 is 7 of Spades. Okay, so I just checked the prompt for 7 of Spades, and it's actually booktuber's favorite from 2020, and I'm gonna be completely honest and say that I don't feel like trying to figure that out right now, and I might not have it on my TBR. So I think what I'm gonna do is use the rule where I can skip the prompt but have to add a pool, and I will take it off of the board. So we're going to be going from 11 to 12. Okay, redo for pool number 6 is 2 of Spades. Hopefully that's a better prompt. So 2 of Spades is to pick a book while blindfolded. Once again, I think that this could be fun, but I have such a limited selection that I pretty much know where everything is, and my room is a mess. So it's better when you can see what I'm doing and I have like a lot more to pick from. So I think what I'm going to do is the same thing that I did last time I pulled this, or last year when I pulled it, is to just do a random number generator. So I just added them all up. I have 156 books total, and I did generated 3 times and I got 22, and number 22 was actually the second book in the series that I picked up, a manga series. So I decided to just go ahead and go with number 1 instead of just randomizing again. And the one that I ended up picking out was The Witch and the Beast volume 1 by Kusuke Satake. I think not exactly what I was expecting for February, but I'm gonna go with it. Moving on, we're at pool number 7 now, 7 of 12, since I decided to skip the prompt. And we have another face card, which I think this is actually the second queen. So if I get another queen in this game, in this round I should say, I have to add another pull. So hopefully that doesn't happen. We don't want that. Well, the one that I ended up landing on was 6, which is, you can't see it, but that is like my arcs. I feel like I haven't updated that since I've done it. I probably really haven't read any of those books, which sucks. So I think what I'm gonna do, I actually just got 3 arcs from Penguin Teen. I got e-arcs of those. I'm pretty sure the ones that I decided to request as part of their like mailing list are ones that are coming out after February, because I was trying to give myself enough time to be able to get through everything within a reasonable time and like have some sort of review up through NetGalley. Most likely this is the one that I'm going to be trying to read because it's set to come out this month, and that one is League of Liars by Astrid. I never learned how to say her last name. So pool number 8 is that an 8? Yes, it is 8 of diamonds. So the prompt for 8 of diamonds is to read a Goodreads choice nomination from, this says 2015 to 2020, but I did make these in 2021, so I'm gonna just add an extra year, make this, you know, up until 2021, just so that I can encompass everything. I would skip this one, but this is not as hard to look up as like a booktuber's favorite. I decided to go with one that I had actually pre-ordered and I was really excited about, but for whatever reason I just never got around to reading last year, and that is Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. Moving on to pool number 9, and that is 9 of Spades. Okay, so the prompt for 9 of Spades is to read a book with stars on the cover. I think I'm gonna give myself a couple options, and depending on how the month goes, you know, whichever one I finish first is most likely going to be the one that I go with. My first option, which is probably the best option, because one, it fits the theme of what I'm trying to do for Black History Month, and really that's mainly the reason why. That is Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. Obviously you see the stars on the flag in the background. I do also have the case study of Vanitas, I think is what it's called, which is a manga series by Jun Mochizuki. So this first volume, I'm not sure how well it would count, but you see the background and the frame is like a moon, and there are like little speckles. It looks more like string lights to me, but I would technically count it as stars because it looks like stars. If it'll focus on that, it's not going to focus. It's trying to focus on my face. I'm not sure how well you can see those like little white spots in the background, but if you wouldn't count that enough, volume 2 of the same series definitely has some stars, like what we would consider traditional stars, on the cover up around his head. I don't know for sure if I want to use that or which way I want to go, but either way I think I have this prompt covered. Moving on to pool number 10. I'm rambling when I could be finishing. Pool number 10 is 6 of Clubs. I'm a little concerned because I feel like I've already had that, but let me double check my list and then, you know, figure out what prompt that is. Prompt for 6 of Clubs is to read a mass market. It does not want to focus. It was doing so well at first, I think, but it's mass market, which actually once again is perfect. I'm going to choose How to Catch a Queen by Alyssa Cole. This is another one that has been sitting on the shelf where I keep all of my TBR books for a few months now, along with Forbidden Promises, and I keep saying that I'm going to get to them and I just have not. So on to pool number 11, which is another face card. I was kind of hoping for no more face cards, but we're going to roll the dice again to figure out what I'm going to be picking from. I did actually just roll 4, which is novel series, because I already have the book pulled out because I was going to try to fit it in anyway. What I think I'm going to do for novel series is read City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. Not necessarily fitting into the vibe I was going for this month, but I think I'm just going to try to get the audiobook and just get through this as quickly as possible. And moving on to pool number 12, I'm just really hoping for anything in the middle of the board. No more face cards. But for pool number 12, we have 2 of Clubs, which I think I'm good. No doubles. I only had an additional pool for that skip. And the prompt for 2 of Clubs is to read a book with the main character who is either a teen or a child. I'm not completely sure. I'm gonna put one book on my TBR because I think I'm not gonna find another reason to try to read this, because it's been sitting on my shelf since I got it, and I was just like, it seems like it'll be super easy to get through because it's like a children's like first chapter book, and that is Too Small to Tola. I'm gonna put this on my TBR like as a backup, but I'm also thinking that most likely it's just going to be a manga that I read, most likely Skip Beat, because I am in the mood to like devour a bunch of Skip Beat. So far this TBR is not looking too bad at all. Actually, it's looking way better than I was expecting. Deck of TBR is done, so I'm gonna as quickly as possible go through anything else that I was hoping to get through. So one thing that I am currently reading, The Wrath in the Dawn. That was my 12 must read pick for January. So I didn't quite finish that, but it will be done before the end of February, like before halfway through February. Other than that, I did already mention this very briefly, but I do have this the case study of Readathons manga series. It's obviously not the full series, but I have the first 4 volumes out from the library. I did also mention a couple times that I would love to get through Skip Beat. This is probably going to ruin my TBR, but I think what would work best for me is that during my working days, like the 4 days that I work out of the week, because I work so long in the day, I don't typically get a lot of reading done, especially like books. I try to put on audiobooks, but I get so frustrated because I basically work in a call center, so trying to stop every other second to answer phone calls is a little annoying. So between watching videos, manga usually is the best thing for me to read, and I found that if I'm rereading something I've already read, it's not as big of an issue to me when I stop, or when I have to stop in between phone calls. Like, I still get a little annoyed, but you know, it's my job. So I currently have like most of the volumes between volume 4 and 20 checked out. So I know this sounds crazy, but I'm thinking that if I can get up to that volume 20 by the end of the month, that would be beautiful, because I'm kind of like, I kind of randomly decided that I wanted to reread the entire series before volume 46, I think it's what it is, comes out in April. Other than that, this is technically split over the next 2 months, but I think I want to just go ahead and knock it all out at once, especially since I am not participating in the live shows. But I think I want to just go ahead and finish up the rest of the books from the Kate Daniels series, because like I said, I don't want to draw it out, especially because the last book, or actually all 3 of the books that I have left, are technically all rereads. Of those 3, I have Iron and Magic, which this is actually kind of a spin-off. I think it's the start of a separate series that is still taking place in the Kate Daniels world, but we're actually following Hugh D'Ambre. And then next was Magic Triumphs, which is actually the final book in the Kate Daniels series. And then finally we have Blood Heir, which is the first book in the Julie spinoff series. The only other thing that I was thinking about was that there was 2 readathons that I'm thinking about possibly participating in. So Blackathon, I've always wanted to do it, and I've kind of done it on my own terms, but I'm never super strict on myself, and I like don't do any of the challenges, which I know sounds crazy, but just time constraint. I'll see throughout the month how things go, how I'm feeling, and whether or not I can fit what I have selected into that. The only other readathon that I was thinking of participating in was Shiftathon. I will link the announcement video down in the description box, so you can go check out her announcement as well as all of the information. Basically, this is a week-long readathon that is based on reading like urban fantasy paranormal books. If you have any recommendations that you think I might enjoy or that you enjoyed, please leave them down in the comments, especially if there are any that are written by Black authors. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but that would be an additional bonus, I guess, for me, because I feel like no one really talks about any of those. I think that I have talked enough. Let me know in the comments, what are you guys planning on reading in February? Like this video if you enjoyed it, me and my delirious self, as well as subscribing if you have not already. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye.